Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Stuffology show, where we unpack the stories behind the stuff that shapes our lives. Today, we're stepping on a pitch for a deep dive into cricket. Not just a sport, but a global obsession that's got billions hooked, from dusty village greens to roaring stadiums in Delhi. How did a game of sticks and stones turn into this cultural juggernaut? Let's trace cricket's wild journey, starting way back in medieval England. Grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's explore the origins of this beautiful game. Imagine rural England in the 1500s. It's a world of thatched cottages, muddy fields, and kids with too much energy. In the counties of Kent and Surrey, youngsters are out in the meadows, whacking a ball with a stick, aiming at a tree stump or a gate. This is cricket in its rawest form. Think less stately sport and more organized chaos. The name cricket might come from the old French cricket, meaning a wooden post, or the Dutch crick for a stick. Scholars argue over it, but it probably ties to the basic gear: a ball, a bat, and something to defend. Rules? Barely. It was a free-for-all, with kids shouting their own boundaries and settling disputes with a tussle. By the late 16th century, though, cricket wasn't just for kids. Adults were getting in on the fun, especially in southeast England. We've got a gem from 1598, a court case in Surrey where a guy named John Derrick testified he played cricket as a schoolboy in the 1550s. That's our earliest hard evidence. Picture it. No manicured pitches, no scorecards, just a bunch of folks on a lumpy field, swinging at a homemade ball. These games could be rowdy, fueled by local rivalries and maybe a pint or two. Villages would challenge each other, and spectators would turn up, cheering and betting. Cricket was already more than a game. It was a community event, knitting people together across generations. As the 17th century rolled in, cricket started to spread. It wasn't just farmers and laborers anymore. The gentry caught the bug. Wealthy landowners saw it as a chance to show off, hosting matches and betting huge sums, sometimes thousands of pounds, which was a fortune back then. This is when things got a bit more structured. By the 1720s, we see the first articles of agreement, early rule books drawn up for specific matches. They settled things like the number of players. 11 per side became standard, and the setup: two stumps, a bail on top, and a bowler trying to knock it off. The basics were falling into place, but it was still a far cry from today's polished game. Let's talk gear for a sec. Early bats were curved like hockey sticks, designed for balls that barely bounced on rough ground. The balls themselves were makeshift, leather wrapped around rags or cork, sometimes so lopsided you'd swear they had a mind of their own. Pitches? Just whatever patch of grass looked flat enough. Injuries were par for the course. Imagine diving for a catch and landing on a rock. But the chaos was part of the charm. Cricket was spreading through schools, villages, and even army barracks, becoming England's go-to pastime by the late 1600s, rivaling horse racing for popularity. It was raw, unpredictable, and utterly addictive. All right, so cricket's got its roots, but how does it go from village larks to a proper sport? The 18th century is where it starts to take shape. The aristocracy jumped in, turning cricket into a status symbol. They'd sponsor teams, hire top players, and host matches on their sprawling estates, complete with feasts and fanfare. Think of it like a mix of sport and high society drama. This is when we get the first big clubs, like the Hambledon Club in Hampshire, formed around 1760. Hambledon was the epicenter of cricket's evolution, like the Silicon Valley of its day. Their home ground, Broad Halfpenny Down, was legendary, a bumpy field that's still a pilgrimage site for cricket fans. Hambledon's players were innovators. Take John Small, a batter who could fend off the fiercest bowlers with style, or Thomas Brett, a bowler who started experimenting with spin, making the ball dance in ways that baffled batters. Spin bowling, where the ball curves or dips, was a game changer, adding a layer of strategy that's still central to cricket. The club also standardized things like team sizes and match formats, laying the groundwork for modern cricket. Matches at Hambledon drew huge crowds, with thousands betting on every ball. It was less a sport and more a spectacle, complete with ale tints and fistfights in the stands. The rules were getting sharper too. In 1744, the first official laws of cricket were published, covering essentials like pitch dimensions, 22 yards, still the standard, and how to handle disputes. By 1788, the Marylebone Cricket Club, or MCC, took over as the sport's governing body. Based at Lord's in London, the MCC became cricket's rule keeper, tweaking laws and settling arguments. Lord's itself, opened in 1814, turned into hallowed ground, hosting matches that felt like national events. Cricket was also spreading beyond the elite. In industrial towns, factory workers formed teams, playing on weekends to blow off steam. It was becoming a sport for everyone, from lords to laborers. Now let's widen the lens. Cricket wasn't just an English thing anymore. The British Empire was expanding, and cricket tagged along. Sailors played it on ship decks, soldiers on dusty outposts. By the early 1800s, it was taking root in colonies like India, Australia, and the West Indies. Australia, in particular, embraced it early. The first recorded match there was in 1803, played by convicts and soldiers in Sydney. By the 1850s, Aussie teams were good enough to challenge England. This set up the biggest rivalry in cricket, the Ashes. In 1877, England toured Australia for the first official test match, a 5-day game between national teams. In 1882, Australia beat England on English soil, and a newspaper quipped that English cricket had died and its ashes would be taken to Australia. That's where the Ashes series got its name, with a tiny urn supposedly holding the ashes of a burnt bale as the trophy. It's still the fiercest contest in the sport. So cricket's gone global, but it's still evolving. The 19th century is when it really solidifies. Test cricket became the ultimate format, with matches lasting up to 5 days, testing skill and stamina. England, Australia, and later South Africa were the powerhouses, but other nations were catching up. The game was changing technically too. In 1864, overarm bowling was legalized, letting bowlers throw with a straight arm instead of rolling the ball underarm. This made deliveries faster and trickier, with bowlers like W.G. Grace dominating. Grace, a bearded giant with a larger-than-life personality, was cricket's first superstar. He wasn't just a player. He was a showman, drawing crowds with his monster hits and cheeky antics. The gear kept improving too. Bats went from curved sticks to sleek, willow designs, perfect for precise shots. Balls got standardized, red leather, stitched, and just the right weight. Pitches went from cow pastures to rolled, flattened surfaces, letting players plan their moves. This was also when cricket started sinking into colonial cultures. In India, the British introduced it, but locals turned it into something else entirely. By the 1890s, Indian princes were forming teams, and players like Ranji, were rewriting the playbook. Ranji, who played for England, invented shots like the leg glance, a delicate flick that sent the ball flying. He was a trailblazer, showing cricket could transcend cultural lines. In the Caribbean, cricket became a symbol of resistance. Enslaved people and their descendants took up the game, using it to challenge colonial rulers. By the late 1800s, teams from Jamaica and Barbados were forming, blending raw athleticism with a fierce desire to win. These players weren't just competing, they were proving a point. Back in England, cricket was turning professional. Players could now earn a living, and county championships, like those in Lancashire and Yorkshire, became huge draws. But Test cricket remained king, with epic battles like the 1894 match where England's Bobby Peel bowled Australia out in a thriller. The 20th century brought more changes. World War I and II paused international play, but cricket bounced back stronger. Post-war, the West Indies emerged as a powerhouse, with players like Leary Constantine blending speed and flair. Meanwhile, the game was getting faster-paced. In the 1960s, England introduced one-day cricket, with matches limited to 50 overs per side. It was a hit, quicker, more TV-friendly, and perfect for new fans. The first World Cup in 1975 cemented its popularity, with the West Indies dominating. But the Real Revolution came in 2003 with 2020 cricket. T20 matches with just 20 overs per side were like cricket on steroids. Fast, flashy, and built for spectacle. All right, let's fast forward to the modern era. Cricket's legacy is massive, and it's still growing. Today, it's the second most popular sport globally, behind only soccer, with over 2.5 billion fans, mostly in South Asia, Australia, and the Caribbean. India is the beating heart of it all. The Indian Premier League, or IPL, launched in 2008, is a global phenomenon, mixing cricket with Bollywood glitz. Players like Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma are megastars, earning millions and filling 100,000-seat stadiums. The IPL's made cricket a big business, with franchises worth billions and fans tuning in worldwide. But cricket hasn't lost its soul. Whether it's a village match in Sussex, a street game in Lahore, or a test match at Lord's, the game's essence endures. Test cricket, with its 5-day marathons, is still the purest choice, a test of patience and skill. One-day and T20 formats, though, have brought in younger crowds with their big hits and nail-biting finishes. T20 leagues like the IPL, Australia's Big Bash, and England's 100 have turned players into global celebrities, but they've also sparked debates. Some worry the short formats are overshadowing Test cricket's artistry. Others say they're saving the sport by making it accessible. Cricket's history is packed with stories. Take Don Bradman, the Australian batter whose 99.94 Test average is still untouchable. Or the 1983 World Cup, when India, the underdogs, stunned the mighty West Indies. Then there's the 2005 Ashes, where England's epic comeback had fans glued to their screens. Cricket's about moments. The tension of a final over, the roar of a six, the agony of a dropped catch. It's about sunny days, rain-soaked covers, and that one perfect shot that makes the crowd gasp. From a kid's game in 16th century England to a global giant, cricket's journey is about passion, rivalry, and the sheer joy of play. So next time you watch a match, think about those muddy fields, the sailors who carried it across oceans, and the billions who now call it their own. Thanks for joining us on the Stuffology Show. If you love this deep dive, share with a friend, and let us know what you want us to explore next. Until then, keep cheering for those sixes, and we'll catch you in the next episode.